Hey guys, have you ever felt that weird vibe from someone close, like a friend, family member, or even your partner, and thought, wait, do they actually hate me? Well, what if I told you Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, cracked the code on subtle secret hatred? Today we're diving into 8 shocking signs based on Jungian psychology that someone in your circle might secretly despise you, even if they act super friendly to your face. Trust me, you do not want to miss this. You might be thinking, come on, hate's a strong word. But the truth is, a lot of people hide their real feelings. Sometimes the sweetest smile hides the sharpest dagger. Jung called this the shadow self, and it's wild how real it is. You think you know your friends? Think again. Jung believed the unconscious mind is a wild place, and most people don't even realize what they're hiding. Are you ready to see the truth? Let's go. Here are the 8 signs that someone close to you secretly hates you. Straight from the mind of Carl Jung. Sign number 1, passive-aggressive comments. Let's get real. Passive-aggressive comments are some of the most confusing and soul-crushing forms of hidden hostility. One moment, you're laughing with your friend, sibling, or partner, and the next they've dropped a joke that leaves you stunned and hurt. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow self is crucial here. According to Jung, everyone has aspects of themselves they don't want to admit. Jealousy, anger, insecurity, resentment. And rather than facing these uncomfortable emotions, people often project them onto others in subtle, indirect ways. That's where passive aggression comes in. Think about it. Have you ever achieved something important? A new job, a great grade, or even just a new haircut? And instead of a straightforward congratulations, you get, wow, I can't believe they picked you. Or that's a bold look. Not sure I could ever pull that off. It's meant to sound harmless, but underneath, there's a current of bitterness and envy. The person making these comments might laugh or brush it off if you call them out, insisting, relax, I'm just kidding. But you know that feeling in your gut? That's your intuition picking up on their true feelings. Passive aggression isn't limited to words either. It could be little sabotages, like accidentally forgetting to invite you to something or being too busy to help you when you need it, all with a smile. Over time, these microaggressions start to add up. You might find yourself doubting your worth, feeling anxious before seeing this person, or questioning if you're too sensitive. That's exactly what the passive-aggressive person wants. By keeping things ambiguous, they protect themselves from confrontation while still hurting you. So how do you spot this? Keep a mental tally. Are you always the butt of their jokes? Do their comments consistently make you feel small, even if they claim it's all in good fun? Do they get defensive or angry when you try to address it? Jung would say that these repeated patterns are the shadow self trying to assert itself without risking open conflict. But here's the twist. The person might not even be fully aware they're doing it. Their shadow's acting out, and unless they're self-reflective, they'll keep denying, deflecting, and projecting. That doesn't mean you have to tolerate it. You're not too sensitive. You're perceptive. Trust your instincts. If someone's humor always comes at your expense, or their advice leaves you feeling worse, it's a sign of deeper issues on their end. Jung believed that making the unconscious conscious is the first step to healing. If you feel safe, address it directly. If not, it's okay to protect yourself by limiting contact or setting boundaries. You deserve relationships that build you up, not ones that leave you second-guessing your worth. Sign number 2, backhanded compliments. Backhanded compliments are the ultimate mind game. On the surface, they sound positive, like the person is trying to lift you up. But underneath, there's a subtle sting that leaves you feeling insecure or even insulted. Carl Jung's shadow concept explains this perfectly. When people can't own up to their envy or dislike, they disguise it as praise. It's the emotional equivalent of smiling while slipping a knife between your ribs. Here's what it looks like in real life. You show up to a party in a new outfit you love, and your friend says, "You're so brave to wear that. I wish I had your confidence." Sounds nice, right? But the implication is clear. What you're wearing is weird, risky, or even inappropriate. Or maybe you get a raise at work, and your coworker says, "Wow, I didn't expect them to pick you over all those qualified candidates." It's a compliment, with a serious side of shade. Why do people do this? Jung would say it's because their shadow self is threatened by you. Maybe you have qualities they wish they had: confidence, talent, popularity, or maybe they feel left behind by your success. Instead of dealing with their own insecurity, they try to undermine you while keeping their hands clean. It's a way to express resentment without outright conflict. If you challenge them, they can easily fall back on, "I was just being nice," or "You're reading too much into it." The worst part, over time, these comments can mess with your head. You might start doubting your choices, second-guessing your achievements, or feeling guilty for your happiness. That's exactly what the backhanded complimenter wants. Their shadow self only feels better when you're brought down a peg. So how do you deal with this? First, recognize the pattern. If someone's compliments always leave you feeling worse, they're not genuine. Second, hold on to your self-worth. You did nothing wrong by succeeding or standing out. Jung would say that awareness is your superpower. If you feel comfortable, call it out directly. That didn't really feel like a compliment. If not, distance yourself emotionally and seek out people who add to your confidence rather than chip away at it. Remember, true friends and loved ones celebrate your wins, quirks, and growth. They don't disguise criticism as praise or make you feel bad for shining. If you're constantly decoding someone's nice words, it's a sign their shadow is at work, and you deserve better. Sign number 3, dismissive body language. Words might lie, but the body almost never does. Jung emphasized that the unconscious mind leaks through in gestures, posture, eye contact, and even the way someone sits when you enter the room. If someone close to you consistently shows dismissive body language, pay attention. It's one of the most honest indicators of their true feelings. Picture this. You're telling a story you care about, and your friend keeps glancing at their phone, sighing or rolling their eyes. Maybe they cross their arms, lean away, or barely glance in your direction. Their words might say, "I'm listening," but everything else screams, "I don't care." Sometimes the clues are even subtler: a fake smile that doesn't reach their eyes, a lack of nodding or engagement, or constant interruptions. Over time, you start to feel invisible, unimportant, or, even worse, annoying. Jung would say this is the shadow self showing its cards. People who secretly resent or dislike you often can't hide it completely. Their conscious mind might play nice, but their unconscious mind slips through. They might not even realize their own coldness, but you do. You feel it in the pit of your stomach. The sense that you're not truly welcome, that your presence is a burden. What's worse, dismissive body language can make you doubt your own worth. You might start talking less, shrinking yourself, or avoiding the person altogether. That's exactly what the shadow wants: to keep you small, to avoid facing its own issues. So, what can you do? First, trust your gut. If you consistently feel dismissed, drained, or unwelcome, that's real. Second, observe the patterns. Is this a one-time thing, or is it their default mode? Jung would urge you to become conscious of these dynamics. Awareness is half the battle. If you feel safe, try naming the behavior. "I feel like you're not really here with me. Did I do something?" Sometimes this wakes people up to their own unconscious patterns. If not, remember, you're allowed to walk away from anyone who makes you feel like less. Never let someone's shadow define your value. You are worthy of attention, respect, and genuine connection. If someone can't offer that, it's not your job to fix them. It's your job to protect your heart. Sign number 4, sabotaging your success. This one is especially insidious because it often hides behind a mask of helpfulness or concern. Sabotage doesn't always look like someone actively rooting for your failure. Sometimes it's a subtle campaign of discouragement, neglect, or emotional withdrawal that chips away at your momentum. Jung would say this is the shadow self acting out. When someone feels threatened by your growth, their unconscious mind seeks to pull you back down. Let's break it down. Maybe you're excited about a new project, and your loved one immediately points out all the ways it could go wrong. Or you're up for a promotion, and instead of celebrating, your friend says, "Are you sure you're ready for that much responsibility?" Or perhaps you ask for help or advice, and they forget to get back to you, or even withhold information that could help you succeed. Sometimes sabotage is even more passive. Your partner might suddenly pick a fight right before your big day, leaving you stressed and distracted. Or a friend might spread subtle rumors so others question your abilities or motives. Jung recognized that this behavior is often unconscious. The person doesn't want to admit they're jealous or threatened, so their shadow finds sneaky ways to restore the balance by holding you back. The effect on you can be devastating. You might lose opportunities, question your own ambitions, or start to believe you're not cut out for success. That's exactly what the saboteur's shadow wants, to keep you small, so they don't have to face their own insecurities. How do you fight back? First, notice the pattern. Are the same people always downplaying your wins, discouraging your dreams, or conveniently forgetting to support you? Second, separate their issues from your worth. Jung would remind you that their behavior is a mirror of their own fears, not a reflection of your abilities. Stand firm in your goals and celebrate your achievements, even if you have to do it alone. Above all, surround yourself with people who genuinely cheer you on. If someone can't handle your light, it's their shadow to wrestle with, not yours. Protect your dreams fiercely. You owe it to yourself to keep shining, no matter who tries to dim you. Sign number 5, one-sided conversations. This one stings. You walk away from every conversation feeling like you've just been an audience member in someone else's show. Jung would say this is the ego's way of defending itself. When someone secretly resents or dislikes you, they subconsciously try to minimize you by making everything about themselves. Here's how it plays out. You try to share something that matters to you, but the other person immediately steers the conversation back to their own problems, victories, or gossip. Maybe you mention a tough week at work, and instead of empathy, you get a long story about their own struggles, without a single, "How are you really?" Or every time you start to open up, they glance away, check their phone, or change the subject. Over time, this dynamic becomes exhausting. You might start to feel invisible, uninteresting, or even burdensome. Jung believed that when someone's shadow self can't handle your light, they try to eclipse it with their own noise. It's a form of emotional erasure. If they pretend your life doesn't matter, maybe they won't have to deal with their own feelings of inadequacy or envy. But make no mistake, this isn't just bad conversation skills. If it happens over and over, especially with people who should care about you, it's a red flag. Healthy relationships are built on reciprocity. Both people get to be seen, heard, and valued. If you're always the listener, never the speaker, that's not friendship. That's someone using you as a prop for their own ego. So what can you do? First, try shifting the dynamic. Gently steer the conversation back to your own experiences and see if they engage or shut down. If they never show interest, it's a sign of deeper issues. Jung would say to notice your own patterns too. Are you drawn to people who treat you this way? If so, it's time to break the cycle. You deserve relationships where your voice matters. Don't settle for being someone else's emotional dumping ground. Find people who ask about your day, your dreams, your struggles, and who listen, really listen, when you answer. That's the kind of connection Jung believed could help heal both the self and the shadow. Sign number 6, copying, then criticizing. This one is both bizarre and incredibly telling. When someone close to you starts copying your style, your ideas, or your habits, and then turns around and criticizes you for those very things, it's a classic Jungian projection. Their shadow self wants what you have, but their conscious mind can't handle the envy, so it morphs into mockery. Imagine you start a new hobby, like painting or yoga, and suddenly your friend is all in, buying the same supplies, going to the same classes. At first it feels flattering, but then they start making snide remarks. You take this way too seriously, or wow, you're really obsessed with this, aren't you? Or maybe you have a unique style, and they start mimicking your look, while making jokes about how extra you are. Why does this happen? Jung believed that we project the things we can't own in ourselves onto others. If your friend secretly admires your creativity, confidence, or individuality, but can't admit it, their shadow self tries to steal it by copying. But because this doesn't actually heal their insecurity, it quickly turns into resentment. The result? They mock you for the very qualities they tried to adopt. This dynamic is deeply unsettling. You might find yourself confused. Why is someone imitating you only to tear you down? Over time, it can make you question your own authenticity or even feel guilty for being yourself. That's the shadow's goal, to keep you small so it doesn't have to face its own pain. How do you deal with this? First, recognize that imitation followed by criticism is a huge red flag. It's not about you being too much. It's about them not being able to handle your shine. Jung would say to keep being unapologetically yourself. Let your quirks, passions, and styles shine, no matter who tries to copy or criticize. If you feel safe, you can call it out. It's interesting you've started doing X, but you seem to have a lot of negative things to say about it. Is something up? Sometimes this brings the unconscious into the light. If not, distance yourself emotionally. Remember, their shadow is not your responsibility. You're here to live out loud, not shrink for anyone else's comfort. Sign number 7, exclusion from plans. Being left out hurts, especially when it's by people you trust. Jung's shadow psychology explains why exclusion is so painful and so telling. When someone secretly resents or dislikes you, their unconscious mind seeks to punish or control you by leaving you out of group activities, conversations, or decisions. They might not even admit to themselves why they're doing it, but you can feel the sting. Think about it. You see photos on social media from a party you weren't invited to, or you find out about a group chat you're not part of. When you bring it up, you get vague excuses. It was last minute, or we thought you were busy, but deep down, you know the truth. Jung believed that exclusion is the shadow's way of asserting dominance and protecting itself from feeling threatened by your presence. The emotional impact is huge. You might feel isolated, rejected, or even angry at yourself for not being good enough. Over time, repeated exclusion can erode your self-esteem. You start to wonder if you're too much or not enough. This is exactly what the shadow wants, to keep you doubting yourself so you don't challenge the group dynamic or the person's underlying resentment. But don't be fooled, exclusion is a form of emotional manipulation. Healthy relationships are inclusive, supportive, and open. If someone goes out of their way to leave you out, it's not about your worth, it's about their own insecurities. So what should you do? First, notice the pattern. Is this a one-off or is it consistent behavior? If you feel safe, ask directly, I noticed I haven't been included lately. Did something happen? Sometimes this brings unconscious motives into the open. If not, don't beg for inclusion or chase after people who don't value you. Jung would say to invest your energy in relationships that are reciprocal and affirming. Remember, the right people will always make room for you. Don't let someone else's shadow shrink your world. You are worthy of connection, never forget it. Sign number 8, sudden coldness out of nowhere. Few things are more destabilizing than someone close to you suddenly turning cold. Jung described this as emotional splitting, when the shadow self erupts and flips the emotional script. Affection becomes hostility, love becomes indifference, sometimes overnight. If someone who once adored you is now cold, distant, or even mean, it's a major sign of hidden resentment that's finally bubbled up. It usually starts subtly. Maybe they stop responding to your messages, cancel plans last minute, or become strangely formal in conversation. Soon there's a wall between you, one you can't see but definitely feel. If you try to address it, they might deny anything's wrong, or worse, blame you for being needy or paranoid. Jung believed that when people repress their negative emotions for too long, the unconscious eventually takes over, leading to sudden and extreme behavior changes. The effect on you can be devastating. You might obsess over what you did wrong, replay every interaction, or desperately try to win their affection back. This is exactly what the shadow wants, to keep you off balance and questioning your own reality. But here's what Jung would say. Their sudden coldness has more to do with them than with you. Maybe your happiness, success, or even just your existence has triggered something unresolved in them. Instead of facing these feelings, their shadow lashes out by withdrawing love and warmth. What can you do? First, don't internalize their behavior. You're not responsible for someone else's shadow. Second, set healthy boundaries. If someone can ghost you or turn cruel without explanation, it's a sign the relationship wasn't as solid as you thought. Jung would urge you to focus on your own healing. Spend time with people who are consistent, loving, and emotionally mature. Let their coldness remind you of your own warmth. You deserve relationships that are safe, stable, and nurturing. Never let someone's unresolved darkness freeze your light. According to Jung, everyone has a shadow self, all the stuff we can't accept about ourselves, so we push it onto others. Sometimes that means projecting our anger or jealousy onto people we actually care about. Crazy, right? People often secretly hate those who have what they want or who trigger their own insecurities. It's not about you, it's about their own unhealed wounds. But here's the twist. The closer someone is to you, the more intense their hidden feelings might be. Family, partners, best friends, they're the ones who see your light, and sometimes it blinds them. Jung believed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you'll call it fate. So if you keep attracting secret haters, it might be time to look at your own boundaries. Now, what can you do? First, trust your gut. If your instincts say something's off, listen. Second, set clear boundaries. You don't have to accept passive aggression or fake friendships. Try this Jung-inspired exercise. Journal about how you feel after spending time with certain people. If you always feel drained, anxious, or insecure, that's a major clue. And remember, sometimes people can change. If you call them out gently, they might not even realize what they're doing. Jung said awareness is the first step toward healing. But if they double down or get nastier, that's your sign to walk away. You deserve real love, not hidden hate. So which sign hit home for you? Let me know in the comments. If you want more on Jung, shadow work, or relationships, hit subscribe and join our community of self-aware legends. Thanks for watching. Remember, your light is too precious to waste on people who secretly hate you. Stay strong, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next video.